And today we've got Martin Hiegl from Lenovo. What's your role within Lenovo?
So I'm the director of worldwide product and business for HPC and AI. That essentially means that I'm responsible for all the products and solutions we offer to our customers around HPC and AI, and also the global expertise around that. For example, segment expertise with specialists in weather, in life science, oil and gas, and so on.
What are people looking for with this AI?
Well, they're looking for making it useful for them, how they can use the new, and it's not really about technology, but kind of the new approach to how they work with their data to get insight that makes it useful for them to be, for example, more efficient, or to be better, to simply help their staff in doing something which and computer could do better, like looking through pictures and things like that.
You say looking through pictures. Why is that important? Why do people want that technology? How is it helping?
So if you go to the essentials of AI, it's really around today mostly voice recognition or video and image recognition. Those are the most, or the dominating AI technologies where it's being used. Then in terms of analytics, there are other options as well. But that's where, for example, you see customers. We have a big customer, for example, in retail, who uses that for what he calls loss prevention, essentially theft. Oh. So you have cameras in all the stores, but still people obviously are stealing stuff in stores. And so what he uses AI for is that he has live analytics on those video cameras that recognize if someone is stealing that. And so the store detective or the store security can get in at that moment.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
So you could do the same thing for food. And just thinking for that case of using video, and the video is capturing when people pick something up and then goes without paying for it. So the AI catches that.
Right.
In a restaurant, have you been into a restaurant where you finished your meal, which can be seen by a camera, and no one picks up your plates, and it sits there for ages?
Oh yes, so for service, yeah, and we had discussions in the hospitality industry where they were looking for use cases, how I can be,
how I can get my drink. I've just finished my drink. I would like another drink. Do I have to wait?
Yeah, improve the service experience at the end.
Yeah.
Also understand, for example, is a room empty or full? Yeah. I mean, today you could do it electronically where you just know, okay, the key card left the room with RFID. Still could mean that someone is in there. But if you had a computer who saw, okay, X people went into the room and X people went out of the room, and you wouldn't have to, identify the people for that.
No.
But yeah, things like that.
Oh, brilliant. Because we've got kitchens now that are being, you've got robots who are making food.
Right.
Are you doing anything along those lines with AI and robotics?
So on the robotics side, what we were working with is on the manufacturing. I mean, kitchen is kind of food manufacturing in an elevated sense, but where you could use also video recognition to have quality control on manufacturing. So if you have a line running, have a camera on that, and the camera can detect if there are issues with the product.
Yeah. Health and AI.
Yeah, so that's a very wide field. I mean, again, image recognition, for example, on RMT images, and if you have for cancer research, trying to detect if there is something wrong.
Yes.
That's where potentially a computer can be better to recognizing really tiny anomalies. Yeah, exactly.
What about punching data, going through data, and then using historical data to come up with better ways to service people in health?
So the big challenge we've seen happening in health is that so many aspects are cultural, and that, for example, treatments that are applicable to an American society with American food and the whole environment could be completely different to, for example, an Indian society. Yes. With completely different food, culture, and everything. So, I definitely agree. There's a lot of potential there. I think one key challenge that hospitals and healthcare providers that are working on that right now are facing is making sure that it's personalized medicine, also in the context really of the culture and the local requirements, not just assuming it's one human being, and if we take just the data from all human beings, it will be all true for that one person as well.
So what are you finding at the moment that excites you about AI?
For me, most exciting is that it's for most of our customers really new. Yeah. I mean, the people that are already experts and used to that is in the big hyperscale marketing environments like Facebook, Amazon, and so on. But if you look at enterprise customers that want to use it to solve actual business problems, they start more or less from a green field. They often enough build special teams that get a special budget even. That's not within the normal IT budget or anything, but it's a strategic initiative often coming down from the CEO, from the board of directors.
What projects have you seen recently that is a good use of AI?
So the retail project I just mentioned, that's probably the one I found coolest or more. I could immediately grasp the value it gives. I mean, you can just do the numbers. Like, okay, if we lost 500 million per quarter, I have to invest 100 million or whatever in the solution. I mean, after the first quarter, I have a positive return on investment there.
Yeah. Hospitality, I don't think are using AI very much.
No, not yet. So that's something that's really not just a search for use case, but then also the implementation. I mean, one thing hospitality industry is more sensitive than others is the whole privacy aspect. Yeah. That you don't want to give your guests the feeling that they are as a person are being observed. Yeah. You want to use
the behaviors are being watched.
Right. You want to abstract that so that you can improve the service to them, but you don't want to make them feeling as if they are observed.
Unless they want to be observed. Because when I go to a bar, the barman knows I go there often. They know what I drink. Right. So by the time I get to the front, they've got my drink sitting there. So if I want AI to be involved in that, if I could walk into a bar and they know my drink and I don't have to explain what my drink is and they have it sitting there, I'll tick a box.
Now, what do you do at that one day when you want another drink?
Yes. That's when I say, I don't want to have the usual. I've changed my mind. But thanks for thinking of me.
Yeah, exactly. And you definitely will go back in that bar.
Absolutely.
Because, it's your bar then.
That's right. So it doesn't matter where you go. You get a personalized experience for myself.
Right.
Wherever I go.
Right.
And there are people who talk about privacy, and I understand that. But if you can separate the person from their actions, that would see quite a few people picking this up.
And that's a crucial aspect where anyone who's implementing that will have to go the extra mile to document and show to customers and users that they are working with their security and the data safety in mind.
In New Zealand, big farming community. Agriculture is massive.
Yeah. A cool thing we did with a university in North Carolina is you have drones that are flying across the fields with cameras. Yeah. And so the drones were giving back the data to have an AI analyze if it then needs to be watering. So if you have to put watering on a certain field or a certain crop, and then next step is, okay, is it time to harvest that one? I mean, another project we had with Bite Lake is where they do that with forests, where they have drones going through forests, and so okay, I got a sick tree there, I have to cut down. Or if you are in the business of producing wood, that you say, okay, those are the areas that are ripe now for harvest. And so this approach of using drones, which is also fairly new in enterprise usage, together then with an AI that makes sense of those images, it could be very interesting for farming communities.
New Zealand's very coastal.
Right.
So we've got lots of people who live off fishing.
Island, right?
Yeah, small island. Most people like seafood, but there are some people who overfish. So we've got a quota.
Okay, yeah.
So we've got a certain amount that we can go out for, but to police that would be pretty tough.
It's just so much space.
Yeah.
It's so much space. You would probably have to take a different level, maybe even satellite images or something like that. But yeah, government could use that, I guess.
Would satellite images identify people?
Yeah.
Would it?
Yeah.
Satellite images?
Yeah. So the government satellite images do.
Where to from here? AI is going to be something which more and more people will start to use.
Right.
It'll be more on your phones. It'll measure your health. It'll measure what you're eating, what you're drinking. What's the end game?
For me personally, I think AI will be pervasive throughout, well, all of IT and not just enterprise business IT, but also personal IT.
Wearables.
Wearables and everything, yeah. If you look, for example, at the internet,
Yeah.
it's kind of the same thing in my opinion, where the internet was very new, and then we had the whole process around, okay, e-business and companies jumping around saying, okay, how can I use that for my business and all that. Nowadays, internet is everywhere, throughout everyone's lives. And that's how I see AI. So if I look at my kids, for example, I think for them it's not just growing up with the internet. For them it's growing up with AI. It's growing up with computers supporting the life.
Will we rely too much on AI? Will there be any reason to remember anything if you've got?
Sure. I mean, we rely too much on the internet, don't we? You can go back to cars if you want to. With the technology, you start to rely on them, and you always can find an angle where you say that you are too reliant on them, because if they are not available at a point for whatever reason, power outage, no gas, whatever, suddenly you are stranded in whatever you want to do there. First of all, Lenovo overall is working on AI from the end devices, our Motorola phones, for example, to PCs like my ThinkPad here, to then the data center where you see it happening in a more in a bigger environment. And I'm responsible on the data center side. So looking specifically there, we have what we call AI innovation labs. One of them being here in Stuttgart, the other one in Morrisville. In Morrisville, we have most of the technology, and then in Beijing, where we also have a research center which we collaborate with. And in Taiwan, we work a lot. So in Taiwan, we have product development, and so we put a center there as well, working a lot with the Taiwanese universities, for example. The key aspect you need to understand when working with those innovation labs and collaborating with us is that it's not just about sending a use case over and tell us, hey, Lenovo, make something for me. What we really do with customers that use those labs is that we build a team where, from a customer side, we need the architect, the data scientist, and then also the data itself. Obviously, either we work on the customer data center so that he can still have the data there, or he will have to collect a set we can build a POC on in our own lab. But it's less useful to just take random data that is not really related to the customer's business themselves. But if a customer has that journey in mind, because it's really a journey, it's not just, I hire data scientists and now I have AI, it's a journey. So if a customer has a journey in mind and a use case, that's when we can sit together, and we did that with a bunch of customers, can sit together and build a team to build a proof of concept. And then when we see the proof of concept working, we usually introduce that to the CEO and board of directors of the customer, and then build a bigger project out of that where the customer says, okay, it is working, I see the benefit for my business coming out of that, let's start executing. And it's a long, so also an execution then, it's not just like an 8 weeks project. We're talking about a year project.
So how can people in New Zealand, which is so far away, get involved and start this journey with Lenovo AI?
Right. So at the end, the location is secondary because we can obviously we can work over phone and video chat and everything and to collaborate. So we like to do at least a kickoff meeting face to face because you just get so much more out of hashing that out together. But then to work the project on the POC, we don't have to be in the same room together. So the location of New Zealand is not an inhibitor there. So if you have a customer who has a certain use case where he says, okay, I want to try to implement that, I want to create a POC, yes, absolutely, reach out to us and let's look how we can realize that together.
Okay. Any limits in regards to what AI projects you will do? Which ones are you better at? Which ones won't you touch?
Well, so, I mean, it's more on the focus from industries we are having right now. So our focus in industries is we are doing stuff with healthcare today, on the retail side and on the manufacturing side. We started working with finance, but often in the finance area, finance customers usually try to keep as much as possible in-house, to not really, work with partners outside on those projects. Using data to train a model, and then making prescriptions based on that model. While on the HPC side, you start with a model coming out of, for example, scientific theory, and then put data in and simulate what's happening. So one thing we're working with partners, especially in the academic HPC space, is how to utilize AI to also improve and accelerate HPC. For example, if you have, like in weather, if you have ensemble calculations where you do like many in parallel just to find a trajectory, because your theory, obviously, so the models in HPC are theory. It's not, I have the formula for the world, that's how the world works. It's still a bandwidth. So if you look at hurricanes, you have this cone, for example. And when you can apply AI with data from many, many more hurricanes, AI doesn't have to, understand the full formula of your climate calculation or of your weather calculation.
Yeah, and what's going to forecast as, and this is exactly what's going to happen. It's 90% this,
right?
70% this, 60% this.
And so that can improve, for example, reaction times to be it tsunamis, hurricanes, and so on.
Who's curating training models in?
Right. So how that works is that when you start with the data, a data scientist has to first design a model based on that. And that's when you then use the data to train that model.
Yeah.
And what you usually do is that afterwards when you use inferencing to kind of apply that model to prescription, that you also take the data that you use inferencing on, take that back and continue to train that model to make it better and better.
So who's curating that? Human or AI?
At the end, the curation of the data at the beginning, that's really a human work still. So that's where you have the data wranglers, is what they are called often,
Will we always have data wranglers?
I think there will be a combination. I think also for data wrangling, you will get better tools that are making use of AI mechanism. But at the end, and that's really also the Lenovo philosophy, is that the AI is then to support a human being in doing the actual decisions and executing, and not being, self-sufficient in a sense that you never look at it or touch at it. It can be risky. There was I think it was my favorite example. They trained a video recognition or image recognition to recognize tanks, to potentially shoot them, defense for defense. And so then after training the model, they tested inferencing with pictures. And so there was a small car, and the AI said, okay, let's shoot that small car. And so they were wondering, okay, what's going on? Why did that happen? So it turns out that all the images they used for the tanks were not on a street, but somewhere on a field track.
Yeah.
And so this one image of the car was also, that car was not on a street, but on a field track. So the AI used a different logic to recognize what it should target than the people expected. And so this kind of bias that's really based on the data you put in. AI itself is never, biased from itself. It always depends on the bias that you have in the data that you are putting in.
Yes.
When we talk about AI, some like it also to call it augmented intelligence, that it's really to help people with making the decision, healthcare. I don't want the computer to make the decision, oh, that's cancer, and I send a note or have an electronic voice call that patient and tell him, by the way, you have cancer.
Yeah.
I want a AI to tell the doctor, hey doc, check a second time this area here. It looks really weird, and then have the doc make the decision.
Yeah, because there are so many decisions that are wrong.
Yeah.
Because doctors don't have that much time. In a GP's office, so a general practitioner in New Zealand, will see people and they have 15-minute allotments.
Oh wow.
In 15 minutes they have to see someone, listen to what they're saying, and then come up with what they think is wrong.
And having help there to, okay, where should I spend those 3 minutes, I guess, they can spend on diagnosis, where should I spend that at?
Yeah.
That could be helpful, yeah.
Fantastic. Martin, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.